It was past midnight. The city was asleep, the rain tapping gently against the cracked window of a tiny apartment. Inside, a single light flickered over an old crib, where a baby girl whimpered softly. Daniel sat at the edge of the bed, head buried in his hands. His daughter, Mia, was barely 6 months old. Her mother had died during childbirth, and since then, every day had been a battle, feeding her, working double shifts as a mechanic, and somehow paying rent for the apartment that smelled faintly of oil and detergent. That night, Mia's formula was almost gone. Daniel checked the kitchen cabinet for the third time, hoping by some miracle another might appear. Nothing. Just an empty shelf and a couple of coins that couldn't even buy bread. His phone buzzed on the table, a message reminder from the electric company. Final notice, payment overdue. He exhaled slowly, fighting the lump in his throat. "Hang in there, princess," he whispered to his baby. "Daddy will figure something out." Desperate, he opened his phone, scrolling through his contacts. Maybe someone, anyone, could lend him $20 till payday. He found a number saved as Mr. M. Collins, thinking it was an old coworker. In a daze, he typed, "Hey man, I'm really sorry to ask, but could you please help me with $40 for baby formula? My daughter's out, and I don't get paid till Monday. I'll pay you right back." He pressed send, before realizing he hadn't talked to that contact in years. Minutes passed, silence, then his phone lit up. "Who is this?" Daniel blinked. Sorry, this is Daniel. I thought you were someone else. Please ignore this, I'm sorry for bothering you." Another pause, then. "You have a baby?" "Yes, sir, I'm a single dad. I just sent that message to the wrong person." "Where are you?" Daniel hesitated. Something about the tone seemed serious, almost commanding. "Maplewood Apartments, Building 3. Why?" "Stay there. I'll be there in 30 minutes. Daniel frowned. "What?" He quickly typed back, "Please don't. I didn't mean to ask for anything. It was a mistake." But no reply came. 30 minutes later, the sound of tires crunching on wet pavement made him look out the window. A sleek black car stopped in front of his building. A tall man in a suit stepped out, holding an umbrella. He looked completely out of place in this rundown neighborhood. Daniel's heart pounded as the man knocked on his door. When he opened it, the man said in a calm but firm voice, "You're Daniel." Daniel nodded slowly. "Yes, and you are." The man extended his hand. "Michael Collins, CEO of Collins Tech Industries." Daniel froze. He had heard that name before. Collins Tech was one of the biggest companies in the state. "I think you texted me by mistake," the CEO said, "but I figured maybe it wasn't a mistake at all." Daniel's voice cracked. "I swear, sir, I didn't mean to bother you. I thought it was someone else." Michael looked past him and saw the crib. The baby was fussing softly, her tiny arms reaching out. Something shifted in his expression, the sternness fading into quiet empathy. He stepped closer and looked at the baby. "She's beautiful," he said softly. "What's her name?" "Mia." Michael kneeled beside the crib, smiling faintly. "You said you needed formula." Daniel nodded, his pride fighting every instinct in him. "Yes, but please, I'll pay you back. I'm not asking for pity." Michael shook his head gently. No one should have to beg to feed their child. He reached into his coat pocket, took out his phone, and made a call. Within 20 minutes, a delivery van arrived, not just with baby formula, but boxes of diapers, wipes, food, and even baby clothes. Daniel's jaw dropped. "Sir, this is too much. I can't accept this." Michael placed a hand on his shoulder. "You can, because I know what it's like to feel helpless." Daniel looked at him in surprise. Michael continued quietly, "My wife died 3 years ago. I raised my daughter alone for a year before I lost her to leukemia." His voice trembled slightly, the first crack in his calm demeanor. "I couldn't save her, but maybe tonight I can help someone else's child." Daniel felt his throat tighten. I'm so sorry. Michael nodded, looking down at baby Mia, now smiling up at him. She reminds me of her, the same eyes. Then with a soft smile he said, "You're a good father, Daniel. You did what any father would do. You asked for help when it mattered most." Over the next few weeks, Michael stayed in touch. Sometimes he sent groceries. Sometimes he stopped by just to play with Mia. Eventually, he offered Daniel a job at his company's maintenance department, saying, "I could use someone who knows how to work hard and never gives up." Daniel protested at first, but Michael insisted. "It's not charity, it's a second chance for both of us." Soon, Daniel was back on his feet, earning well, paying bills on time, and finally able to give Mia the childhood she deserved. One evening, as the sun set behind the city skyline, Michael visited again. Mia was crawling on the floor, laughing. Daniel handed him a cup of coffee. "You changed our lives, sir," Daniel said quietly. "I don't know how to thank you." Michael smiled, his gaze distant. "You already did. You reminded me what love looks like when it's pure. A man who'd humble himself for his child, that's strength." Before leaving, Michael knelt beside Mia and handed her a small stuffed bunny. "You keep smiling, little one. You saved your daddy and maybe me too." Daniel watched as the millionaire walked away into the dusk. A man who had everything but still searched for meaning, and that night found it in the innocence of a baby's smile. Sometimes miracles don't arrive with wings or light. Sometimes they come as a wrong text message that turns strangers into family and loneliness into hope. Weeks turned into months, and Daniel's life began to transform in ways he could never have imagined that cold, rainy night. He now had a stable job at Collinstech, the company he once only saw on billboards. Every morning he would drop Mia off at the company's daycare. Yes, the CEO himself had arranged a spot for her. And every evening when Daniel came to pick her up, she would crawl as fast as her little legs could, shouting, "Dada," before clinging to his leg and laughing. Michael would often watch from his office window, smiling faintly. Something about seeing that father-daughter bond filled the emptiness he thought would never go away. One Friday evening, as Daniel finished fixing a machine in the company garage, Michael came down from his office, not in his usual suit, but in jeans and a simple jacket. "Come on," he said with a grin. "Dinner on me, no arguments." Daniel tried to protest. "Sir, you don't have to." Michael interrupted, laughing. "Daniel, stop calling me sir. It's Michael, and trust me. It's not an order, it's an invitation from a friend." That night they ate at a small diner, the same one where Daniel used to sit alone. But this time, he wasn't counting pennies. Mia sat between them, banging her little spoon on the table and making the other customers smile. Michael looked at her, eyes soft. "She's got your spirit, you know that." Daniel chuckled. "She's got her mother's smile." Then his voice faltered. "She never got to see it." Michael nodded slowly. "I know the feeling." Silence hung for a moment, not uncomfortable, just heavy with understanding. Two men who had both lost everything but found something again in the smallest, most unexpected way. Before they left, Michael looked out the diner window at the city lights. "You know," he said quietly, "I used to think success meant numbers, headlines, power, but I think I was just lonely." Daniel looked at him. "You've got a whole company that looks up to you." Michael smiled faintly. "That's not the same as someone who looks for you." A few days later, Michael invited Daniel to a charity gala, not as an employee, but as a guest. Daniel showed up nervously in a borrowed suit, holding Mia in his arms. When he entered the grand ballroom, people whispered, "Who's that? Why did Collins bring him?" Daniel felt their stares, but before his insecurities could take hold, Michael walked over, placed a hand on his shoulder, and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "This man reminded me what real strength looks like." Then he lifted Mia into his arms, grinning, "And this little angel reminded me what joy feels like." The whispers stopped. For once, Daniel didn't feel like a charity case. He felt seen, respected. Weeks later, Michael offered him a promotion, head of facility operations, with a pay raise that made Daniel speechless. "Michael, I can't accept this," he said. "I'm not qualified for that title." Michael shook his head. "You're more qualified than anyone I know. You show up, you work hard, you care about people. That's leadership." Tears welled in Daniel's eyes. "You don't know what this means to us." Michael smiled. "I do, because I've been where you are. Maybe I just needed someone to remind me what humanity feels like again." Months passed. Life finally started to feel steady. One sunny afternoon, Daniel brought Mia to the park. She was toddling now, laughing as she chased butterflies. Michael joined them, sitting on a bench, watching her. "You know, Daniel," he said, "I've been thinking of starting a new foundation, one that helps single parents, widows, and families like yours. Real people. No cameras, no PR, just help." Daniel looked at him, surprised. "That's amazing, Michael." Michael smiled. "I want you to run it." Daniel blinked. "What, me? No way, I can't." "You can," Michael interrupted, "because you've lived it. You know what it means to ask for help and to give it. You're the heart this foundation needs." For a long moment, Daniel couldn't speak. He just looked at Mia playing in the grass, alive, happy, safe, and whispered, "Thank you." Michael's gaze softened. "No, Daniel, thank you. That wrong text message changed my life as much as it did yours." Years later, the foundation grew into one of the biggest family support programs in the state. Thousands of single parents got food, jobs, and hope because one desperate father once sent a text to the wrong number. One afternoon, Daniel stood on a stage at a fundraising event holding a microphone. Behind him was a big banner, "The Collins Family Foundation, because every family deserves a chance." He looked out at the crowd, his voice trembling. 5 years ago, I was a broken man with an empty wallet and a hungry baby. I sent a message asking for $40. That message didn't just bring me help, it brought me a brother, a purpose, and a chance to change lives. Sometimes miracles don't come from heaven. Sometimes they're just one wrong number away. The audience erupted in applause. In the front row, Michael sat, smiling proudly, wiping a tear he didn't bother to hide. Mia, now a bright little girl with pigtails, ran onto the stage and hugged her dad's leg. Daniel lifted her up, whispering softly, "We made it, princess." And somewhere deep in his heart, he knew. Kindness had come full circle. What started as a mistake had turned into a miracle that would echo for generations. Red.